Because Notre Dame lost head-to-head to Northern Illinois. They will not make the playoffs because Northern Illinois will be one of the small teams that makes the playoffs. So you can
I
go,
still
you
think
can
they'll
be
make it
12-1
if
or 13-1 all you want. You lost to Northern Illinois at home. Marshall, Northern Illinois.
they win all the rest of their games, they will make it.
No way.
I
Ball
disagree.
State's going to beat Northern Illinois this year.
They might. Munson played. Nick Munson, my man, had a kickoff coverage fumble recovery, just like his mentor did in 1997. The refs were like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I got the ball. I got the ball right here. It's just identical." Ball went out.
Hold on. Walk us through it. A kickoff fumble?
No, he was
What'd
on
you say?
kickoff coverage,
Oh.
running down. Return man comes up, does a little this, little that. Bam! Fumble! Pile. He's out.
And
He's
Nick
got
pulls it up.
Look at the pile. He's like, "Nope,
Nice.
right here. It's our ball." And
Nick
like,
Money. All right.
That's
Money man.
Awesome.
Fumble recovery. And he was the like second to the deepest deep man on the left side of the return for kickoff return. And they kicked it. So the guy on the right was always a little bit deeper, but they kicked it his way, but it was in the end zone like almost every kickoff. They kicked away from Nick, pretty much. Moral of the story.
So wait, Jeb, you do not think that Notre Dame will make the playoffs if they win every single rest of their games?
No,
I do not. I think their playoff season is over, in my opinion.
They're in no matter what. They're going to, even if they lose one more, they're probably still in.
I agree. They always make it in. They always make it in.
I would agree that they should be in because the whole playoff system was designed for Notre Dame to get in every single year. But the only thing they had to do was not lose to Northern Illinois, and they lost to Northern Illinois. So they're done. We'll see.
We will see.
They
They
should be.
also play a couple other good teams, which they might lose to. But I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to lose anymore. But
I mean, we
Might
will
lose this
see.
weekend.
But I'm just saying, if they win the rest of their games, they're going to get in. That's my call. I think they get in.
I think they might lose one more and still get in. But that's because I feel
It's
like
gonna be fun
everybody's
to
going to
see.
lose games this year. There's
What's
a lot
that?
of parity. There's a lot of parity.
There's a lot of parity, as we've seen already.
Yeah.
Which is a fair assessment.
But, and I think with NIL, there's a lot of dudes that are already paid and have nothing else to prove. And so, like,
Maybe
I already
that number's not there. 10
I
out
already
team
have $3
loses.
million. Why do I need to go out and risk myself for my team when I already have $3 million?
Okay, so what you're saying is are you predicting there will be more or less players sitting out of the playoff than there were players sitting out of the bowl games that were, not the top four?
I think you're going to see dudes sitting out of the playoffs. No, I take that back. I think because of NIL, you'll see guys playing. But I wonder if there's stipulations on any of their money. Are you allowed to put stipulations on the NIL money?
I will say I did read that starting next year, they will have to play. They will they have to play in the bowl games.
I think that anything,
but that isn't in there as of this year, from my understanding.
There's no rules just yet. There's only proposed rules.
And okay, I got to play, but I just pulled my hamstring, so I'm out.
Then you're out, and nobody wants to draft you. Have a good day.
Yeah, but now it's summertime, and I can run a 4, whatever the dude just ran last year and break the record.
And then you're going to get drafted.
4-2-1.
Well, okay. So that's what we're here to talk about today, right? We're going to here to talk about what do we know about NIL. And it's very confusing, and it keeps changing. So we're going to be here to explain what we know so far and update you when it changes, because it's going to change.
Jeb, what do you know so far of NIL? Without looking stuff up, just what's the plan? How does it work?
Basically, the players can make money. They can use their name, image, and likeness to make money. They can have autograph events, sit at a table and charge $500 for their autograph. They can sell T-shirts with their name on it. They can sell jerseys with their name on it. The school can set things up for them to make money. The schools can have collectives that pay them money.
Let me pause you right there. I think once the collectives got involved, because they realized there weren't many rules to this, that they didn't even need to have a name or an image or using their likeness. They just got to hand them some money and say, everybody at this school gets money. The collective gave you money. You're playing football. Here's your money. And I think that is where the little house versus NCAA comes in. But
yeah, and I do know that but NIL, there's a rule of you have to do something for the money. But I don't know how that works with the collective.
They have to play football.
But
right. So
no. Like they have to sign an autograph. They have to go have their face on a billboard. They have to do something to get money from like a dealership or
it's
something.
It's called a valid business purpose.
Yes, there needs to be a valid business purpose for them to give them the money.
So,
but how does that work with the collective? Don't know.
So like I know the collective can like require them to go volunteer somewhere. And so then they show up and volunteer and they get paid for it. So you're not neccerily volunteering.
That's not exactly volunteering, but yes.
But you're volunteering to get paid to help others, which is a good thing in a roundabout way. But they can do public speaking. They can host their own camps. I know there's a lot of guys that come back and host camps around South Bend.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
College guys come home for the summer. They do a camp, or Notre Dame guys host a camp.
So back in the day, before any of this changed, you couldn't even have a job. Like you could not be a Domino's delivery driver and get paid $4.99 plus tips because they knew or assumed that somebody would go, here's $15,000, thanks for delivering so well, and it would be because you're playing well on the football field. So you had a job, but now can you have a job at all? I just literally want to work at the bar and be clean up tables after my team leaves and make $15 an hour because people get paid too much these days. But can they do that? Or is that not allowed because they can only get paid via name, image, likeness?
They could have jobs back in the day.
A lot of limits. There was a lot of limits on having a job. You had to file things and do way more than any other student.
A normal student,
yeah.
So now you can make $3.5 million and be the quarterback and pull your hamstring and sit for 3 weeks. I mean,
okay. And so then the question is like, I'm making $3.5 million. Why would I leave? And why would I even leave college? So, and right now, okay, the COVID year is about to end. This is the last year for the extra year. So some of those guys that came to school in 2020 or 2019 and they had that COVID year, they got that extra. So they could play for 5 years. Plus, if they had a red shirt year, they're there for 6 years. So now you're like 24 years old and you make $3 million. That's probably more than what you're going to make in the NFL. So
right. It's more than a rookie contract.
You're trying to hold on as long as you possibly can.
I'm not mad if they're making that much money and they're going to stay. I'm not mad with them staying at all. No. It makes more sense that you've stayed at one school and you're making good money and you're contributing than it does what a certain school does and only recruits graduate players and brings them in for 1 year at a time. And then they find out that the quarterback is actually garbage after week 2. And then they just lost $1 million.
Well, you can only accept graduate transfers there.
Well, then they
why
change that rule?
But that's
doesn't take undergraduate transfers.
You see how this is all intermingled?
But that's only this particular NIL. School.
Yeah.
Every other school is fine with it. So that's just a stupid Notre Dame rule, basically.
Right. I think so. I don't know. Other schools may have that rule, but they definitely have it.
Do you know who the top 4 people are in NIL earnings as of today, according to Deion Sanders' fan club?
Well, I'm going to guess Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Is one.
Incorrect. I'm talking all athletes. So we've got Livy Dunn, $3.9 million.
Travis Hunter.
It also points out their followers. Remember the followers. 13.2 million followers. I kind of don't know why. I'm just wondering why. I have no idea why.
I don't even know who that is. What does she play? Basketball?
She doesn't play anything. She's a gymnastics person for LSU, and she makes money the old-fashioned way.
And she's also dates the rookie pitcher for the Pirates that
Paul
throw
Skeens,
absolute cheese.
seen him in person playing against the Cubs.
Okay,
Actually,
she's got
I'm
13 million followers. She's probably cute, and
there. You go.
There you go. Okay, who else?
Your boy Shadur Sanders is number one, and I don't have his digits. I'm sorry, it's off of the stupid screen that I'm looking at.
I thought it was like 5.1 million on there.
Number 3, real quick. No, that's probably right. Number 3 is Arch Manning at 3.1 million, and we went from 13.2 million followers to 320,000 followers.
Wow.
He doesn't have followers; he's just performing on the field. 3.1 and 3.1, this is the post, is related to Travis Hunter, who's a cornerback wide receiver for college. He's also getting 3.1 million, which, I mean, the dude's a stud player, but I don't understand that. And I don't understand it. 3 million followers. So at least he's got 10 times as many as Arch Manning. And then the last one I can see is Quinn Ewers, whatever. We know his story, bounced back and forth. He's at Texas. And I'm blocking the number 2.3 million and don't have his followers. But so those are the top 5. 4 of the 5 are football players. Only 1, 2, 3.
And the girl, she's probably some kind of influencer as well. Like she probably does her get ready with me videos or something. I don't know. She's got her sparkly outfit, and I mean, I'm just guessing, but that sounds about right.
All right, so that's what we know off the top of our heads about NIL.
Not much.
So yeah, not a lot.
So we got questions to answer. One of the questions I have is, how much would it take to win the golf championship every single year?
At a college.
At a college. So how much money do I need to get the 5 best college golfers in the country to come to my school? So if I was guessing, the number 1 guy probably wants 50,000. The number 2 guy wants 50,000.
You don't think they want more?
I mean, is there more out there?
That's a good. So first of all, I would say golf might be the outlier, because when you have the amateur tournament and then like the main amateur wins and then he gets into the Masters,
and then they
they literally are going to make $1 million just by showing up. So I feel like their amount of money that they will make on the PGA Tour is so much larger than everybody else that their NIL money might take more to get them to come somewhere. However, they were making 0 last year, so like, what's it going to take?
And you're going to win a national championship. So as of the university, say, let's just pick a college. Let's say Ball State decides they want to be the best golf school in America.
Bam.
So if somebody would give them $1 million split across 5 guys.
Okay, so they win though, but you gotta do the math. Now we're in the financials of NIL of, okay, I just spent $1 million, I won the national championship, but it's not broadcast on TV, and I don't have any funds coming in, and I just lost 1,000. I lost $1 million. I got a trophy on the shelf.
Right, but just like the guy at Oregon, the Nike, Phil Knight, he said, there's no limit on me on our NIL. I'll pay whatever. Right?
That's why they started off overranked.
Right. So where did Scotty Scheffler go to college? He just won 38 million, 100 million. How much did he just win this year?
The Texas guy?
Fine. Let's say he just won $38 million. It was way more than that. He won $150 million this year playing golf.
Yeah, he could throw 15 million right
back. The question, I guess, here's if you're in it for the money and you're really good, you're like that good of a player, you're probably like, I'm not even playing in college. I'm just going to go to the pro tour. I'm going to make way more money.
That's fine. Then go to the pro tour. I'm going to take the next guy.
All right, the next 5 guys, whoever the top 5 guys are that are willing to stick to college.
The 5 best.
I think it's more. I think it's more.
And just go and be like, all right, dude, I have $1 million split across you 5. And we'll win the golf championship.
That's a good question. You're starting us off strong, because golf is not one of the 3 major sports in college.
Sure.
So you could do the same thing for lacrosse, or for field hockey, or for women's basketball, or for something water polo. and you could just clown.
Right.
All right.
But you
I want to bring something up because I think. Sorry if I'm interrupting your thought. Say your thought before I go.
Me?
Yeah.
They're saying it's about the investment and the payback, and the money is in the TV deals, which is football and basketball.
Right.
And
but if I'm giving a school, if I'm giving a school $1 million, like to their endowment or whatever, I'm pledging. I have $1 million to give to this university, and this is what I want it to go towards. I'm not trying to get money back from them. It's not an investment. It's a donation. So my $1 million, I want to win. I want to see you win the golf championship. Boom. Here's $1 million. Win the golf championship.
Okay. I want to bring something.
Why isn't that happening?
I want to bring something up because I think this is what could start happening. Okay.
All right.
So let me bring up a point. So as we mentioned before, with NIL and with the NCAA and their lawsuit, things are happening on the back end. We think we know what's happening, and then they change it. So in July, NCAA and whoever's suing them, I don't know, came to a tentative agreement. Who is suing them? What would we call them?
Currently, it's called the House versus the NCAA settlement.
Okay, the House.
Because there's 4 suits that they combined into one.
Okay, so it's the House. Okay, so they came to a tentative agreement, and now we just found out that maybe that's off the table. But with their agreement, part of that was that scholarship levels are going to change. And so let me share my screen here, and I'm going to get to my point when I tell you that why I think Jeb's idea might end up working. So this is what the current scholarships are for each of these different sports. Football is 85. They would go to 105 scholarships. However, that would be the cap. They couldn't have any more players than that. So baseball currently only has 11.7 scholarships. They would go to 34 scholarships, but that is the cap. Like right now, I think they've got about 45 people on the team. They would no longer have 45, they would have 34. So in most instances, there's more scholarships available, but less head count on each team. So where I think Jeb's idea comes in, like let's say you're Ball State, and hypothetically, their basketball team isn't doing so hot. I don't know if they are.
They're up and coming.
Maybe you say, you know what? We don't have the money for that. We're going to scratch our basketball team. We're going to throw all our money at the golf team, and we're going to be the best golf team in the country. And maybe that is what they do, because they're at some point, it's where they're getting to the point where these teams that get all this money, they've got all this money, there's still going to be lopsided balance. And at some point, some of these schools are going to have to say, we can't have this sport anymore because we can't afford it based on this proposal that they have.
Right. But you got to remember that if this is this based on that title, the NCAA's proposition, their proposed changes?
This is what was proposed and what was agreed to.
Okay.
So those are the number of scholarships they're given. So they're giving those number of kids full ride scholarships.
Well, so if you see here, I put a little asterisk next to a couple of these: football, women's volleyball, basketball. In those, they are allowed to give partial scholarships, whereas right now they do not do that. So there could be, it could be full and it could be partial, some of them.
Okay, which is all fine and dandy. So now you go to college, you don't need a job like we talked about earlier to make ends meet. They're giving you free schooling, and they're going to give you all the food and everything, the housing, everything's taken care of for your schooling. Correct. Right? They give them stipends, so they get money to live on. That's all part of your scholarship, right? Okay. So that is all great. And everybody, I think baseball, you should get 34 dudes that get to play on the team. And so baseball used to have bigger rosters. So now it's getting pared down, but everybody on the roster is on scholarship.
Correct.
Where you used to have 50 kids on the team and there's 11.7 scholarships spread over those 50 guys.
Exactly.
Right? So people were still paying to go to college.
Exactly.
All right.
So this
So
is
now,
good. It's good in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good for the players. You're going to
But-
pretty much, you know, the walk-on is maybe no longer. The walk-on doesn't exist in this
Walk-on
model.
might walk on and then earn one of those partial scholarships.
Well, they can't walk
Right.
on anymore. You have to get the scholarship.
So they're only keeping 34 guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think at least in the beginning, like the first couple years, it's going to be like, we got to cut people. We're cutting people. So that's the downside, to some of this.
I like getting everybody on scholarship. I see what they're doing, and it does kind of stink. Like, say you were the 35th or 36th guy on a baseball team, and now you don't get to be on the baseball team anymore. That's not cool.
Yeah, like what if you're like, man, I just wanted to play. I didn't care. I was willing to pay, and now I'm not on the team. That is a bummer.
That is a bummer.
That is a bummer. And this is going to cost a lot more for the school, as you can see. Like adding a additional. If you look at just this is like an additional.
I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly kind of what this lawsuit is all about. Is the schools have always had plenty of money to go from 12 to 25 scholarships in softball. They just have been keeping it themselves and tucking it into their coffers. So this is some phrasing from the most up to date, maybe not the most up to date, more recent House settlement. Is the judge is Claudia Wilkin. And what she is totally unimpressed with is the terminology that I used earlier, that the NCAA is requiring that the money is given to athletes via that valid business purpose. When the whole premise of this thing was the kids should just be able to earn money for dominating on the field or whatever. Like if they're a person, they're in America, it's a free society, let them make money and don't look at them. So if they can't figure out the valid business purpose, then that's why the case might just get thrown out. And the House side has said, yeah, we're happy for that to get thrown out, because they don't want it to be tied to a valid business purpose. They want to be tied to a home run. Boom, I hit one home run, give me $1 million.
Nice.
And so if they don't figure that out, this all goes away, and then it's going to be what that mean. What does that mean? That means it's the Wild West again, because there's no defined rules.
Yeah.
And
so they're trying to put rules around it, and I have a feeling it's going to take a little bit longer.
Exactly. And the curveball I want to throw at you too is, if there are no rules, because this falls apart, and you have the ability to pay kids for whatever reason, then how ridiculous is it that the NCAA still tries to put their claws into, you called him on Wednesday, the opening wasn't until Thursday. You text this guy and be like, dude, I'm paying him $3.5 million. He should be texting me. What are you talking about? There's like those small things that they still try to get, like someone like the coach from Iowa had to sit out a game. That is insane.
Absolutely insane. I just can't even understand their recruiting calendar. What is even the point of these recruiting calendars? I get it but let's make it more simple.
Well,
because
remember when we talked to Antoine Banks? He said the recruiting calendar was for the coaches to have,
so that they could have a break, basically.
Yes, and they could have a family and
right. So I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But to punish a coach because he decided to text him at midnight instead of 8 a.m. or something is insane. Like, if I want to take my time to text this guy, whenever, if it's the 4th of July or friggin' Father's Day.
Yeah. If we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar business, we shouldn't be worried about the peanuts. We should be worried about, they talked about caps. They talked about scholarship limits and all this. And it's just I just feel like they're going in opposite directions, and it's not going to work.
I could see. I mean, I think
that benefits the player the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have to figure out what our questions are that we want to answer.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes. Okay. So
We obviously prove we know nothing, right?
Okay, I want to answer one of the questions I want to answer is there a cap from is there any type of cap on the money they can earn? I don't think there is.
$3.1 million to be a bum. No, there's not a cap. The cap should clearly be well below 3.1 million if there is a cap, and there's clearly no cap.
I don't think there is, but dang, okay. Should there be, I guess is the question.
I feel like that's a little bit of discussion on economics and whatnot, but like no one single college football player is that much more valuable than any others. Even if you're Reggie Bush and you win the Heisman 4 years in a row and you win the national championship 4 years in a row, you're still not
You still didn't do it by yourself.
Exactly.
For you to be getting $3 million and then half the other team to get zero is still a bit ridiculous. Exactly. That lineman whose name is never in the lights still blocked for you. Get your touchdown on the way. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That to me, I think, is a grander question of just because like there is a star and this star is going to.
But that's not necessarily per person; it's per team also. So if you have 50 million, what do you do with it? Do you give 50 million to Bill Cripper and the $5 to everybody else, or do you go everybody gets $1 million and the other guys are walk-ons? Like they have options to do that. So,
and is there a cap from like one individual paying another individual? So like, can I pay you the 3.1 million or can I only give you 100,000?
And I mean, the real cap needs to come from where the real cap should come from is these collectives, because that's where the questionable money is. That's where the crazy money.
Who's going to be able to check? I'm getting my valid $1 million cap, and it's from this collective, and everyone's getting 1 million or less. But like, I might transfer. And who's to say they don't give me another million somewhere else? Like, if they're already paying me, it's easy to give me more.
If we're giving you money, if you're getting you're getting money from whoever, NIL collective, the school, they say, their big argument is like the kids should be able to leave because a coach can leave any day, which is true. But there is still a contract signed. So why isn't there a contract involved for these kids?
It does. It says, yes, each individual school has oversight of NIL deals and the right to object to a deal if it conflicts with existing agreements. So if we're sponsored by Nike and Adidas is trying to pay you, they can say no.
Mm-hmm. Right. But like, does their, NIL deal carry over? Like, I'm going to Purdue right now, and I got signed by Adidas, whatever. But now I'm transferring to Oregon, which obviously
I think the answer is no.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, can I take it with me to another school? My deal?
It depends.
I would think so. Like, I mean, if I'm sponsored by Prime Energy Drink, like Prime Energy
they don't care.
Yeah.
As long as they're good with it, you're good to go.
The best part about all this so far has been the creativity. We've seen the items,
QR codes.
QR codes on the helmet, which was actually kind of stupid because you can't like win it from the sideline or the fans anyway. But whatever, that got eliminated. Did you know that Houston is using video games to get NIL dollars? And how might they do that? They say, "Hey Jeb, you like to play Madden 25? You can play Bill Crooper, who's on the team, and you can pay $7 to play him. $7 to sign up for a tournament." And then they get all kinds of people who want to play, and they want to play against the players. And
that's cool.
There's a pot of money.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that. I wish I had that. I would have been running money back in the day.
God.
I don't know what they did, but the Notre Dame quarterback and a bunch of linemen were at Dick's Sporting Goods signing autographs last week.
Nice.
Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm sure they're a huge sponsor.
Sure.
Yeah. Get money from all those Nikes, Under Armours, whoever. Good fun.
So the question I have, and I've sort of looked into it, is high schoolers getting NIL money. Why would I have my son play in South Bend, Indiana, when he can't get name, image, and likeness? He should be in Illinois playing.
This is so messed up. I don't
He's
like
about to be
it.
16. He needs a car. Let's go. Like,
I know, and who's paying for that? Bob Rohrman?
Bob Rohr.
so there's
The question, Liz, you asked is the best question, because when Jeb said, I want to give you $1 million and I want you to win the golf thing, they still also have to get $1 million from some donor just to pay the scholarships. Like, you just don't have money from nowhere just to pay the scholarships. Like, the donors used to give money for scholarships. Now it's like they're asking donors to give money straight to the NIL, but somehow, some way they're covering the scholarships. It's just like a write-off or something. And then
why can't just Jeb McNally say, I want Ball State to win the golf title, and I have $1 million, and I go and I personally find 5 kids that absolutely dominate and say, hey, you go to Ball State, I'll give you $250,000.
I feel like
I think you can.
There's a limited number of people that are going to do that, and that's why the collective.
I think that you can do that right now.
You could try.
I think that's what they're maybe trying to work on to an extent.
And then why would that?
But I don't know.
Listen to his coach. I'm the one giving him $200,000.
Right?
They probably would.
That is another problem right there. I mean, that's a bigger problem. Hey, Coach, I can't practice today because Jeb told me that I got to go over to his flooring center and sign autographs.
Yeah,
and he pays me and you don't.
Exactly. The priorities come with the money.
I don't know.
So that is really interesting.
So the high school thing, let's touch on that real quick, is I saw that like the number 1 defensive end recruit might what's the word, Liz?
Reclassify
as a 25 kid versus 26. It's like, okay, obviously if Florida Gators are going to pay him $9 million tomorrow, he should just go be at the Florida Gators, not be in high school. Like, because if you're that good, but if a different high school made him, Bradenton, Florida is going to pay him $3 million, you get your degree, and then we'll maybe set you up for more money next year.
I hope that high schoolers are not making $3 million. Oh my gosh.
I would rather put my money on some sort of Dogecoin or something, like the risk to invest in some high school kid millions of dollars.
It's so bizarre. Okay, so
is that obvious?
It does. So already there's this, there's already an issue with kids, like, changing schools in high school, like leaving, one high school high and dry because they don't win enough. I'm going to go and my mom's going to drive me 30 miles south to go to this better football school and, changing up their entire life just to go for a sport that you could get injured tomorrow, quite honestly.
Yeah.
That's already an issue. And now we're going to start paying people. But of course, there's going to be schools that cannot do this. Like, even if every state did it, there's such a disparity between these schools already. I mean, first of all, also how sad, like, please donate some money to the schools that actually need money and not to the kids that are out there that have already have everything they could ask for. They're going to football lessons, after friggin' football class because they've got money. Gosh,
the education
is pretty bad. This is bad.
Education tiers in high school are vast and ridiculous already. You start getting the ones with more and more money, and then they can recruit and pay players to come there. Obviously, someone's going to get the leg up right away. And as soon as you make it legal, the people who are already the schools that already have money are already poof. They're in first and second place, and they will never lose that status. Like maybe ever. They'll already win.
They'll
get more money.
That is just like sickening me. I'm really mad thinking about it. So where they have NIL? I know in Florida. Where else? Anywhere else?
A ton.
I think it's 20. I think it was 20 states. Is that what I heard?
Alaska, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, District of Columbia, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, or no, not Kentucky, Louisville, or Louisiana, sorry, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts,
Oh my
Minnesota,
gosh.
Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island,
In theory,
Tennessee, Utah, and Vermont and Virginia.
pretty
And then
much
there's
all.
ones that are under consideration.
50%.
So, so here's my question: Is do you think this started because the kids who are so good deserve money while they're in high school, or is it just part of the recruiting process? And Texas is going to give the kid in Texas money early so they come to Texas to make that 3.1 million.
Well, if that's the case, then
those are the people that have the insight and know of the recruiting scenario already, right? It's not like the high school coach is just going to go, "Hey, Tommy, you get $15,000 because you're good." It comes from outside of the high school system.
Would like to know where it's coming from. If it's coming from the college, then I guess I could see that. That's some kind of, that also seems like that should be breaking some kind of NCAA recruiting rule. That they're paying them before they even sign on the dotted line, which I guess, because there's also rules of when you can sign your letter of intent. You can't even do that until.
This is from 2018. There's 500 6A and 5A high school football teams in Texas, the two highest classes. There's 500 schools.
500.
Okay. 49%, 243 of those schools, the head coach earns over $100,000.
Wow. I mean, that, I guess, honestly, in Texas, I'm not even surprised by that. But
it's,
imagine being a head coach and then your little punk 17-year-old freaking cornerback is making $100,000 just for playing on the team.
Right.
Oh,
okay.
God.
So then
talk about ruining the sport.
Right. And kids reclassify. So the kid was reclassifying from a 2026 to 2025 so he could graduate earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now, why not reclassify from a 26 to a 27? Stay in high school for the extra little bit of time.
You'll be bigger. You'll be faster.
You can only be so old in some states.
Yes.
So you can only
James
play to
19.
19.
Was trying to be on our team, and he was like 27 years old, the fastest kid we've ever seen. But he's too old, can't play. Sorry, son. Hey, kid, too old.
So, but you could probably do it. Most kids are 18, 17 or 18 when they're a senior. They could, let's say you're not getting enough looks, or you know what I mean. Is there? Are there rules you can only play 4 years, or can you play 5 years?
What if you are getting a bunch of looks and you're already making $200,000 a year to be in high school and live at home? Just live another year at home in high school.
I just hope they're not really making that much. I'm thinking they're making like $1,500.
It could be any number.
If the high school coach is making $100,000,
I'm just thinking like they're getting some money from the local yogurt shop or the freaking maybe the car dealership.
I'm out. That's what we thought about NIL for college in the beginning. Your name is Juice whatever. You got Kool-Aid. You get free Kool-Aid at the when you go to Jimmy John's. No, we're talking about millions of dollars. So in high school, I bet the stud quarter like Arch Manning was probably making money in high school if it was allowed back then. Because they knew he had the chance to go further. Like, it wasn't no peanuts. It might have been more than the coach. They're probably just walking around with their...
I am on record with this is a terrible idea. Terrible, terrible. I think we all agree.
You're missing the entire point of high school sports altogether.
100%.
College kids, it should just be a flat dollar amount, in my opinion.
I agree.
Football, here's $50,000. Have a good day. Over $1 million, you haven't improved yourself on the field yet. None of these kids.
Yeah, but I mean, how much money did Notre Dame make last weekend? They paid Northern Illinois $1.5 million to come beat them.
Yes, they did. Well, you could do the math. They got 100,000, and you got to pay Notre Dame. You got to pay 500 for a ticket. So there's $5 million
Right.
either game.
But so they paid Northern Illinois 1.5 million to come win the game, right?
Yeah.
How many kids on Northern Illinois above and beyond their scholarship got paid by the university to make that $1.5 million? If you're in business and you're a sales rep and you're selling something, you're going to get 5, 8, 9%, right? So every kid on the team getting 3% of 1.5 million, they're the ones that played the game.
No, I'm not. Yeah. Also, I'm not saying that the kids shouldn't get money. I'm saying for playing football or whatever sport, you should get a set amount. And then I think that would there should also be like, you won the Big Ten. Here's 50 grand in your savings account. You won the national championship. Here's $1 million. You can't get it till you're 30 and you've actually had a job for 5 years. Give them something to do in life, not just, now I can sit back and be a fat $18 million in the bank guy because I hit one home run. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, then they can take that money that they made and reinvest it in the school they played for.
Exactly. And the school itself could be reinvesting into, I don't know what Ball State University does, but they run the Muncie high school education system. I'm pretty sure Notre Dame doesn't do that on the west side of South Bend. That's a whole other story. Let's keep those people in the dark, and we'll just keep building buildings and giving our football players money to suck.
So, all right. So questions we want answered. I want to know why, or like those smaller sports, how their NIL is working. Like, I get it, basketball, football, you got superstars, right? But like I said, the golf or like the tennis, or how come, I want to win.
Know that too.
And I bet it depends on the school. Like, Notre Dame, Dartmouth, Harvard, they probably are rolling in it too.
Do you remember a couple years ago when the discussion, I think it was before NIL was approved, the discussion was like, well, how are these other sports even surviving? Basketball and football are making all the money, and they're basically paying all the scholarships for women's field hockey. And then there was the whole Title IX discussion gets in there, which I'm all for Title IX. But when the football team is making $1 billion and your team doesn't make anything, you probably shouldn't be getting equal pay. But so I highly doubt they're getting equal pay now that it's like play to earn.
At Notre Dame, they don't even charge tickets. It's only tickets for football, men's and women's basketball, and hockey. Those are the only sports you have to buy a ticket to. Everything else free of charge.
Interesting.
For students or for the public?
Anybody.
Wow. See, that's pretty good.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Well, okay, that's a good one. Write that down. Let's look into that. And hey, listeners, if you have a question, please send us a message at settledonthefield@gmail.com or DM us right here on YouTube and ask your question. We'll find out for you.
Here's my question, and it has to do with taxes, because as a small business owner, I know you got to pay estimated taxes. And from what I understand is, since they're now making money and it's categorized as like a 1099, they have to pay estimated tax. So, okay, if you got $3.1 million, there's an amount you have to pay. Nobody cares. They're going to be able to afford to pay it. I'm not talking about not paying my taxes or these kids not paying their 25% or whatever they have to pay. But who is responsible for educating and or managing that? Is that the NIL person that every school is hiring? Is that their agent? Is that them and their mama?
Well, I can tell you
because
two things about this.
If they don't pay their taxes.
I agree. That's a great question. And do they get to have agents now? Obviously,
I know one thing I know is that they have an app on their phone where they are supposed to, anyone who's like does NIL with a player is supposed to go through the school and then they go through this app. So anything they get paid is in the app for tax purposes. So they at least have it all in one area.
It's good to have.
They have the ability to have it all in one area. So when it comes time to do the taxes, they don't miss something. As long as the player is following through, like,
could you
I'm
imagine?
sure there is Billy Joe Bob on the side is like, hey, I'll pay you $500 to come do autograph session. If he doesn't go through that app, it's not going to be in there. So,
can you imagine juggling all this? Like,
yeah, and you're like 19.
Pretend
they don't
you're
know
still
anything.
going to school and you're trying to study and pass your classes. Pretend you're trying to learn this freaking spread offense. Pretend you got like 500 grand that you have to pay taxes on. Pretend you're thinking about transferring because someone's going to offer you 750. Like, that's insane for them to have to think about.
I'm guessing that the school I would guess, based on all the things that the school provides, because they provide a lot of stuff, I would bet around tax season, they're like, we're going to have a tax guy come in here, take advantage of this, and help you out. I would bet they do that. Now, they still probably have to have all their forms and all that other stuff, but I can't imagine that they just don't say anything about it. I can't imagine.
Oh yeah, I would imagine they take care of them too. It's just
because of course they don't want them to screw up and then they're suddenly
y'all seniors might need to be looking into that, like who's got the best tax accountant before you go pick a school, because if you're making decisions based on money, you better be talking to an accountant.
All right, so we've got a couple questions for next time. If anyone has a question or an answer to any of our questions, let us know.
Let's figure this stuff out together.
And I think
it's a moving target.
It might change again. Okay, thanks for joining today. Nice seeing you guys.
Keep dominating
together.